Hey everyone, factoring into today's video, we're going to have a look at the weather for the next 8 to 10 days in today's video. This is taking us more or less towards the last week of October. It's taking us from around the 19th to say the 22nd or 23rd of October. It looks like it's staying quite blocked, but we may just bring up some slightly warmer air from the south actually once we get through to that sort of 19th, 20th part of the month. But how long it lasts, open to quite a bit of speculation. Anyway, before we go on video, I just want to talk about the advertising. There'll usually be a video ad overlaying my weather videos at gazweathervids.com. Please play those videos. You will be supporting gazweathervids.com. If you do that, and please remember you do not need to download any additional software to watch my videos. These are YouTube videos, so they can play on any computer or browser without any additional software. Right then, so I'll just get rid of the camera and we'll get on with the video. And this is the high 500 millibar height anomaly charts that we're starting off with, as we usually do these 8 to 10 day videos. The red colours indicate to be above average heights at 500 millibars, 80,000 feet. The blue colours indicating below average heights and low pressure at 500 millibars, 18,000 feet. So red is for high pressure, blue is for low pressure. As I say, these are the anomalies from the ECMWF. First of all, on the left here, the GFS on the right, we'll have a look at that in a moment. And what we're looking at here is quite interesting. We've got this a huge area of above average heights here to the north and to the northeast of the British Isles. A very large blocking area of high pressure still in evidence across much of the Arctic. Much of the North Pole is under this large blocking area of high pressure, and it extends down in towards Scandinavia and to the north of the British Isles as well. And this big below average area of heights indicating a very large trough here in the Atlantic. But what's interesting about this is just this little orange area here extending down into central eastern parts of Europe, because that's a ridge of high pressure really developing across central eastern Europe. And with this low pressure out to the west, this big trough out to the west of the country, will be bringing up a southerly wind between the high pressure and the low pressure. So that could well bring us some warmer temperatures up from the south of Europe actually. But with this low pressure out west, this large trough, it'll still be bringing in heavy rain at times. I think we'll still be seeing heavy rain moving in off the Atlantic with that trough. So it'll still be very wet, very unsettled. It's just that the temperatures will perhaps pick up a little bit. But it's very blocked up here over to the north and to the northeast of the country. So with this large blocking feature, I wouldn't expect any southerly winds to last that long. If the block was to collapse down into the east of Europe, then maybe the warmer weather could go on, but my suspicion is that actually winds will very quickly start to go back round to the east and the northeast and bring in somewhat colder air once again as we go into that final week of the month. Now, having a look at the GFS, it's a very similar situation. The trough isn't quite as deep in the Atlantic, but it's still there. It's still to the west of the country mainly. But above average heights again extending across Greenland to the north of Scandinavia, remain down through Scandinavia into this central part of Europe. So again, it's the same sort of setup with high pressure to the east and the northeast, low pressure to the west and the southwest. And the idea again is that we'd be bringing up a southerly wind between those two features, the low pressure and the high pressure. We bring up a southerly wind, but again it's very, very blocked to the north of the country, and how long that southerly wind would last before winds would go round to the north or the northeast, again I think very much open to question. And again, although this trough isn't quite as deep here in the Atlantic, it is still quite a major trough, so even with the southerly winds you would still be expected to be throwing areas of rain up from the west and the southwest across the country through the course of the period. Now, these are the Arctic Oscillation and the North Atlantic Oscillation forecasts. The red colours here indicating the coming period, the forecast period. This black line here indicates the Arctic Oscillation that's been observed since the 16th of July. So we can see that we've had these periods of below average and, I should say, negative and positive Arctic Oscillation periods. Now, the Arctic Oscillation basically means blocking or high pressure or low pressure over the Arctic. So when the Arctic Oscillation is positive, we'll be seeing low pressure over the Arctic. When the Arctic Oscillation is negative, which is here, this is the scale, negative Arctic oscillation is there. When that's happening, we've got high pressure over the Arctic. So we can see that for the coming period, very negative. These red lines actually well below into the negative territory, going even more negative actually from beyond the 16th to around the 20th maybe. But signs that the Arctic oscillation, as we get towards the end of the month, might start to pick up a little bit. But that's quite speculative, and generally we are still, by the look of it, staying negative with that Arctic oscillation throughout the rest of October actually. These lines generally staying into negative territory through much of October, so I expect blocking to continue for a long while to come over the Arctic. North Atlantic oscillation, very similar. This is the setup in the Atlantic. We know about this quite well. When the North Atlantic oscillation is positive, we've got high pressure over Iceland, and we've got low pressure, we've got high pressure over the Azores, I should say, and low pressure over Iceland. When the North Atlantic oscillation is negative, it switches around, so we get high pressure over Iceland and low pressure around the Azores. And again, we've got a negative North Atlantic oscillation coming up. These red lines here indicating that North Atlantic oscillation going very negative through the middle of October. But then again, in conjunction with the Arctic oscillation towards the end of the month, it might start to go back towards positive territory. But really, many of these red lines are staying below this line here, which is 0 line. That's neutral really. So many of the lines are staying under that neutral line, indicating that the North Atlantic oscillation is likely to be negative for the coming month, just not quite as negative as we get towards the latter stages of the month. So having looked at the generic charts from the GFS model, we can see that we've got high pressure up here over Scandinavia and extending through into the Arctic. This trough of low pressure out in the Atlantic. This is for a week's time, Friday the 19th of October. This is the GFS model, by the way. So yes, we've got the block set up to the northeast, but low pressures out in the Atlantic. As we saw on the high anomaly chart, what happens when we get to 10 days away? Well, we've still got that blocking feature up there over the to the northeast of the country. We've still got the trough in the Atlantic. There's the southerly winds, so that's why it's turning, probably turning a bit warmer in this period from around the 19th to the 22nd or 23rd. But it wouldn't take much really for this feature, this high pressure, to switch the winds round to the east. It could retrogress actually this towards Greenland, I think, as we get towards the end of the month, maybe get winds in from the north. But certainly this southerly wind does give us the prospect of a few days of warmer autumnal weather. ECMWF for a week's time, high pressure up to the northeast, low pressure in the Atlantic, big trough of low pressure, very unsettled, but we are bringing up a southerly wind, so it is warmer, but still very unsettled, with bands of areas, really bands of rain being thrown up by this trough in the Atlantic. Now, as we get through towards 10 days time, Monday 22nd, this is already showing what I was talking about, with the high pressure actually becoming more centred to the north of Scandinavia again, the low pressure starting to die southwards again. So any southerly wind that does occur between, say, the 19th and the 22nd, I've got real doubts that it will last that long. I think it won't take much to get the winds back round into a much cooler direction, cutting off that southerly wind and digging the trough down across the country once again, with that high pressure becoming more centred to the north and to the west actually of that Scandinavia. For the GM, the Canadian, again it's similar. The blocking is to the north and to the northeast. The trough, this is closer to us actually, the trough, but even so we're still bringing up more of a southerly influence with this, but it is very unsettled and very wet if this is right. And then as we go out towards the 10 days time, Monday the 22nd, again the trough is in the Atlantic, but look at all this blocking to the north of the country. Big block there extending through Greenland into northern Scandinavia. It wouldn't take much at all for this low pressure to move further south and for winds to go round to the east and the northeast and bring a lot cooler air back in. And my guess is that as we get towards the end of October, we'll either build an area of high pressure over the country, or we'll start to switch the winds round to the north and the northeast, and it'll turn cooler in any case. So any warmer period between, say, the 19th, the 22nd or 23rd, I've got real doubts it'll last that long, but certainly a few days of southerly winds is likely, although very unsettled with heavy rain. Now, come back tomorrow, I'll be doing the weekend forecast. I'm not going to be able to do a written version of the weekend forecast tomorrow, unfortunately. It's my brother's wedding this weekend, so I'm going to be rather tied up with family commitments. But I will still be able to do the weekend forecast video, so come back for that. That's all for now. Thanks for watching.